What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of The Terror Table, a horror movie podcast. I am one of your hosts here every week. My name is Mitch, and with me again, I'm back. It's Buzi. Hi. Buzi is back. Gruesome Twosome. Gruesome Twosome back in the trap. We're going to be talking about Spookies today from, I can't even remember what
87.
87? Yeah, we're going to close 86. We were both
86, okay.
Yeah. Either way, we're going to be talking about the cult horror film, Spookies, at the end of this episode. But before all that, we're going to, of course, just get caught up, reacquainted with each other. It's been a while.
Cocked up with each other.
Yeah, we're going to cock each other up with that. Yeah, Buzi, good to see you, my friend.
It is great to dock with you once again.
Yes, back at it. How have you been?
I've been great. I've been super busy. How about yourself? I know you've been busy as well.
Yeah, it's been tough.
What are you sipping? I got a 99-cent Arizona, the fruit punch. What?
Yeah, you're a big Arizona guy. That's what, if there's one thing I know about you, you're an Arizona iced tea guy. Now I'm drinking a natural lime White Claw.
Oh, is that like an OG flavor or is there like a bunch?
It is. I think it's an OG flavor. They got a bunch now though. Like I was just
White Claws are so hot.
So hot right now. So hot right now. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. We like both work insane hours. Pretty much when I get off work is when you're starting work. So it has not been easy, but shout out to our listeners who have been sticking with us and know, like, understood that we've been busy and we just haven't had the time to do this, but we love doing it. So it's good to see you.
And we love all of you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And we've had some fun episodes. By the time this comes out, we'll have had an episode with Dennis and Bethany, which I'm excited for you to get to hear that one as well, Buzi, because they're lovely people.
They look like lovely people from a distance. I've gazed upon them.
Yeah, super nice people. Super fun conversation.
Also, I just have to say, congratulations. I don't know. I think congratulations is in order to our favorite Boston listener. She's getting married today.
Was that it? Oh,
I think it was. No,
yesterday.
Was today. Was it yesterday or today?
I think they got married yesterday.
Okay, they got married. They're already married at some point by the time you're listening to this.
Either way, happy
wedding. Congratulations on being married.
Yeah, love you, Lana.
Yeah, love you. There you go. I just thought I'd throw that in there too because I kept seeing pictures about it.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah, shout out, Lana. And yeah, I don't know, Buzi, fuck it, I feel rusty. You want to just start talking about some horror movies? I know we haven't talked in over a month. Our last episode together was Prey. That was a while ago. So I've seen it. Like I've seen a bunch of shit. Have you seen lots of stuff?
I've seen a eclectic group of things. I'm sure you probably outwatched me, but I do have some things I want to talk about.
I don't know about outwatch. Like I think I have like all my stuff that I have for this episode is new, but I think that we should lead off with something that by the time this comes out, it'll have been out for a couple of weeks. But we just saw David Bruckner's HELLRAISER. Yeah, the HELLRAISER remake. Let's talk about it, baby.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of this has slipped by me, so you're gonna have to like fill in the cracks for me. Did we always know this was like a new chapter of this, or was it sold as a remake?
It is a remake.
Was that what it's always sold as, or was it sold as like a sequel as well? No,
I had just assumed it was just a straight remake because I knew that they weren't bringing back Doug Bradley and
right.
Clayton putting on the pins to play Pinhead.
Okay, so that's fair because that's like I was trying to figure out if it was something like how Candyman was, where it's like a little bit of both. Yeah. Versus so this is just a straight up like retelling, I guess. Yeah, it's a remake from the mind that gave us the Siren, that first segment in VHS. That one was amazing. That's still to this day is probably my favorite VHS segment. That one scared the shit out of me. But then he did The Ritual, which has become a favorite of mine. Like I watched that one actually again last week. And I just love this guy's work. And he did The Night House, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it was on both of our top 10s. And we did an episode on Hellraiser with Mitch Clark, our boy, and that was one of those discussions where I can't fully remember how you feel about Hellraiser as a whole, but I know that I grew up as someone who never liked Hellraiser. It was just too much for me. And then I spent too much money on that box set, and I ended up falling in love with it.
I still remember that. You started off roasting yourself, and then it just got to us roasting you about it.
That's exactly it. Like, why am I buying this? You don't even like these movies, but now I'm so happy I bought it.
Yeah, but it's a sexy looking box set.
It's a sexy looking box set, and I am in the camp of people who believes that the original Hellraiser is one of the greatest horror movies of all time. Like it holds that title for me now. It came around full circle on that thing, seeing it as an adult at the right age. And I know that's not to sound condescending to people who still don't like it. It's just, it clicked with me this time around. And I've since watched it and studied it and been obsessive with it. It's like just so gothy. And I'm a goth boy, so I love it.
It really does fit into that, like, that early 2000s gothy vibes, like you're at the Blade party and everyone's just drinking blood and showering blood. Yeah.
Or like every single tattoo studio has a Hellraiser poster somewhere. Like it's just
that like a Metallica or a Slayer poster as well.
Yeah. But no, I'm like, fuck it. I love Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3. Like 3 less so, but I have a soft spot for it. It's just so campy. But this new one, I'm so anxious to talk about it with you. What did you think?
I have to say first off that I probably don't have those same kind of lineages in terms of interest with the franchise. I didn't buy the box set to fully embrace it. And other than watching with Mitch Clark way back when and yourself, I haven't seen too much of other Hellraiser films. So I feel like I'm just kind of like on the fence about the franchise as a whole. But watching this really made me want to dig in more. Like I have a lot more interest in wanting to go watch Hellraiser 2 and 3, which apparently isn't that good, but you like it.
Yeah, but it's the type of that good that you're gonna like it.
Yeah, because that's the way you like broach that. Yeah, I actually like 3.
Yeah, it's totally. I could see 3 being right up your alley. Just it's fucking ridiculous.
I think it's a really cool idea just to begin, like in itself. Yeah, and it's a fun idea. And it has a cool centerpiece you can use with the horror of this box.
Yeah, that fucking cube is just amazing, and that's something that obviously I'm just gonna get right out of the way. I loved it. I love this remake. My hair was blown right back by it. I will say it was like, when it started, I was like, damn, like what an intro. Like a really good introduction to the film. And I was like, yeah. I was on board from the get-go, just knowing that David Bruckner does hold one of those titles for me. There's like one of the most exciting people to look out for right now. Like I just want to see everything this guy does. And I've loved everything he does. So hearing that he was getting a Hellraiser remake, I was like, that's going to be interesting. That's not just going to be like a neutered down version of Hellraiser. Like, Bruckner's going to bring it. And fuck did he ever. But like the opening was really cool. And then it got a little, it's funny because I'm normally a fan of that stuff too. It's like it's very melodramatic. And it almost felt like anti-CW. Like there was a while there, like the opening first act of the film, I was like, I just don't know if I'm gonna be able to buy into all this drama among this particularly group of like really attractive people. And I was like, it just felt a little polished. But then the carnage comes, and I gotta say, man, my jaw was straight up on the floor through some of these scenes, specifically the reveal of Pinhead, like when we see Jamie Clayton. That's gonna be a scene that I rewound it after I finished the movie. I went back and watched it again because I'm like, what a fucking scene! Like the way that Bruckner constructed that thing, the combination of practical effects and visual effects melded so beautifully together. The whole movie looks so good. Like the carnage looks beautiful, and it's like you can tell that they actually put all of this effort into the makeups of the Cenobites, but also in the gore. And like so, the visual effects side of things, I thought it all looked really good. And like he even plays with stuff like that in the Ritual. Like there's, I don't know how long ago you saw the Ritual, but there's a scene where they're like walking in the woods and he has like a vision, and the whole like all the trees just like go whoosh and they separate. And it's like, why didn't I think of at that moment that Bruckner would be the perfect person to do Hellraiser? Because it's like him opening up these portals and like I thought it was so epic, and the sound design was so good. And I thought Jamie Clayton was amazing. It's such a hard thing to pull off, replacing Doug Bradley. It's like, it's gonna be impossible to replace Robert Englund. Like I always thought that if they were gonna remake Hellraiser, they just would have to not have Pinhead, just make like different Cenobites or something like that.
Not have your kind of main one at all.
Yeah, or like do it far differently. Like don't even try to recreate it. But I feel like the best thing I can say about this one is like there's all those people that are always gonna just reject remakes because they are redundant. Like when there's a movie as good as Hellraiser, it doesn't need to be remade, and I agree with that. I don't think that this is better than the original, but I think that it did enough. I think Bruckner's vision made it fresh enough for me to just eat up, and I welcome it. Like I thought he really crushed it. Like it just felt like the guy, he's so good with mood, and it feels like it was made by someone who has a profound respect and understanding for the source material, which is the most important thing to make a solid remake, in my regard at least. But yeah, I thought it was awesome, so good.
You know what? I wish that I could argue with you and give you a different opinion, but I'm much on the same boat here. And I
Don't
think
need to argue. We can like things.
no, we need to argue about this. I will say that I thought that is her name Odessa Azion? Her job as being that main character, because nobody's going to watch these to watch the protagonist, right? Everybody's here to see your Pinhead. So I think she did a great job in keeping and capturing some of that light of being the focal point in a way that was interesting. I understand that, yeah, it was very dramatic at the start, and it kind of hard to latch onto, but I kind of understood, like, okay, this is your characters trying to learn and change, and I did appreciate that. I just thought, like, she did a really good job of keeping it going forward, because this could have easily just been a real Scooby-Doo affair where they just run around inside a mansion, which is what they do, but it could have been a lot worse. Like, there could have been a way worse version of this. I feel like everybody kept it going in an interesting enough way. I think that a lot of the Cenobites were really cool. I wish I could have seen more. I think that's one thing that I wish, like, we had kind of like these big three or four, but I kind of wish that we would have had some of those scenes where you'd just be able to, like, pick them out vaguely in the back of a wall or something,
You're gonna love 3. Hell World, or Hell on Earth, I think it's called. The CD Cenobite.
Yeah, and I've heard you talk about that before. I think it's something you can appreciate, something like, because I know you like this with Cabin in the Woods, how you kind of like, you could pause and see, like, oh, there's a clip of this or that. I wish that we'd had a little bit more of that and dealing with a little bit more of this, like, hell realm, because they show, like, some really cool stuff of it, and some of it kind of looks like the portals from Mario.
Yeah, but that's the dope part. Like, that's it. Like, when you can make something, like, I had the same thought even, I agree, and I don't know if it's because the Super Mario Brothers fucking trailer's fresh in the mind, but I had that thought as well, but I'm like, it's crazy how it's like, it's goofy in concept, but it's still chilling when you're watching it done by this team. And I do want to say that, like, I agree with you that the cast is really good, and like the drama is nothing new to Hellraiser. Like that's why I didn't latch onto the original as a young kid, because it was super melodramatic and it felt like daytime soap opera stuff. Like it had that tinge. But I think it's because like I love how not sexy the original is. Like I love how it's these like people who are kind of just normal, like early 40s actors and actresses that are being super horny with each other. Like it doesn't feel like. I don't know what,
you can still be horny at 40.
No, I absolutely.
That's what we learned from Hellraiser.
Yes, no, but that was part of the charm that I liked about Hellraiser. It just felt gross. Like it was like, and not that they are gross people, because they're not, but it's not watching like these sexy teens, which I know this group is even a little older than like I think they're supposed to be early 20s or something. Yeah. But they're like all really attractive people, and like they're really good at what they're doing. The drama is good. Like they're good actors. But I was just like, all right, I just want to watch you get fucking murked. And you do. That's my favorite part about this. I watched it with my buddy Dallas, and we were like, every time that box is out there and you see one of them just gets cut, it's like, oh boy, you just know you get to watch them get annihilated. And it's exciting.
I love the repetition of that. Like anytime, I think that they did such a good job of making that puzzle more terrifying than it already was. Just for the fact that like anytime anyone's touching it, you're just like, oh shit, like don't pick that up, don't do it. And I love that it just like mix people randomly. And I love the, and I can't remember this from the original, is that they had all the different like stations of the box.
Yeah, they didn't explain that in the original. Like that's new. And I know I read some reviews of people complaining about that, like saying that wasn't needed. But then I read some where it's like, it didn't give me enough, like to warrant that it being there. I'm like, I thought that was treated perfectly. I was like, oh, I like that they broke down like the different stages of the box and the different choices you could make, like the whole ending. Super epic.
I'm surprised that that's not actually part of the original source material, because that is I thought it was such a smart idea overall. Because then you did like when you had your concepts later on of people like bartering with the Cenobites, it makes more sense. Yeah. So then you're like, oh shit, what are you guys gonna pick? And like seeing all the configurations and like they're like, oh, you're gonna see Leviathan now.
Yeah,
like that shit was so fucking cool.
So metal. So metal. Yeah. And the other thing, you even mentioned it at the beginning of this review, is Candyman. Like the Candyman remake. To me, this lives like right next to it. Like they're similar in tone and like intent. And
they're updated in a respectful way. Like, I actually enjoy these films.
Exactly. No, I love that Candyman remake, and this one I love it as well. Like I'm looking forward to watching it again. Yeah, it just the carnage is just beautiful. It's so gnarly. There was
oh man, the fucking when the biter actually gets somebody, is it a chatterer?
Yeah.
Ugh, like
Oh,
it's
man.
what I expected too.
I love that they utilize the Cenobites more in this one. Like I love that the Chatterer is chasing after them, and it's like it feels like a Nightmare on Elm Street sequence. And that's what I kept on thinking while I was watching. I was like, oh man, I want Bruckner. If someone's got to do, because you know that they're going to do Nightmare, they're going to remake it eventually. Like fuck, I want him to do it. But then I was like, no, you know what? That wouldn't make any sense because he just did it with Hellraiser. Like this is such a Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and like there's so much of it that just feels like in that spirit. I love that the whole sequence of the Chatterer was epic, and it's so I was like, oh my god, it's so exciting to watch.
Okay, I have a question. Did the ending remind you of like I'm trying to think what movie this reminded me of, but House of Jackville.
Oh, House of Jackville, yeah.
Yes, that it reminds me a little bit. Like it gives me the same kind of vibes at the end.
Yeah, well, it's very it feels like biblical.
Yeah, it does on like a whole different level of like receiving your judgment.
Yeah, no, I just know like there were multiple times in this movie where the types of people that we are and the viewers are, the amount of stuff that we watch, you always like kind of wonder when you see cool practical effects, you're like, how was that done? Like lots of times you kind of have a good idea of what they were using, whether it be bladder effects or if it was just prosthetics. But there were times in Hellraiser where the VFX and practicals melded so well together that I was genuinely like, holy shit, does that look good? Specifically with one character has something right in the middle of his chest and it gets pulled out and you like watch his insides grow back. I'm like, oh my god! Like I was like, that looks so good. It looks so good.
He was the only part of the film that I
agree
wasn't.
But it was also it was like kind of needed for. But it's the Hellraiser story needs that. It did feel far different than the other plot.
It was a very like it was very like strange like Quasimodo-esque plot to it. I will say though, compared to the original, a lot these Cenobites are a lot less horny. Everyone in this is less horny.
They're more into the pain.
Yeah, like there's less like pain for pleasure. Like they kind of touch on it, but I just don't feel like they're ever like really getting into the like S&M of the whole thing.
Oh, and that's weird. I feel differently. I feel like they really ramp up. Like it doesn't just feel like it's Pinhead being the whole like we'll tear your soul apart. Like it feels like all of them are really gung ho on just crashing everyone.
I want a Cenobite with just a shitload of dildos on it, and you can just hear it like flopping down the hallway before it gets to you.
Oh my god, just
all different settings.
Oh man. So, oh god.
Oh, what settings you'll feel.
Yeah. The flashlight Cenobite, Jesus. Yeah, Hellraiser, good movie. It's another killer fucking horror movie this year. There's been plenty of them.
It's a good movie. It's a good October movie too.
It is, yeah. Spooky stuff. I want to touch on one thing, and we'll just keep going around talking about what else we've seen. But I went, would have been last Thursday night. I went and saw Vancouver International Film Festival's going down. So
yeah, how was that?
It's been awesome. I saw two really, really good movies there. Neither of them are horror, so I'm not going to really talk about them. But the thing that I am going to talk about is an evening with Michael Abels, who is the composer of all of Jordan Peele's films. He did a live like Q&A performance, showed clips from the film, broke down different things that he, like his process and working with Jordan Peele and other filmmakers has been like, it was just absolutely magical, man. I went with buddy Sean Kaprinka from Saskatoon. He was in town because he's a musical like film composer. He's in school for film composition, and this was part of the he just flew out for VIFF. There, like I think there was some conferences with his school and like a bunch of students from all over the world were kind of meeting here.
Mitch, you don't have to cover for him. He was selling drugs. We get it. He was running drugs.
It does sound like I'm making it up because I'm like,
and then he had lunch at like 7 o'clock. Yep.
No, we did go for pizza afterwards, but no, just an absolutely lovely, wonderful dude. Sean, I've become buddies with him since I moved. Like we didn't know
Sean.
Yeah, didn't know each other before I moved, but connected over a love of film and Saskatchewan. But yeah, him and I, we went and saw Michael Abels, and it was so fucking good. There was just like a bunch of members of the Vancouver Symphony were there. There was a mix of like a stage playing cellos, violas, violins, all these like beautiful stringed instruments, and then there was a big projector screen behind them. And he went through each movie and like broke down like the introduction song to Get Out, and then how it is juxtaposed with the song that carries you out at the end of the movie, which is very similar, but there's a few minor differences. Learning about like the what went into making the score with Jordan Peele. It was so like funny because obviously Peele is a hilarious guy and he's a genius. And it was a really, really cool experience that I never thought I'd be able to have, but I'm really happy I was able to go to it.
What did you learn? Did you is there one thing you could take away to be like, hey, I learned something new about this fella right here?
Oh, I learned a lot about him as a person. Like just a genuinely, it's another, I've been having those like with Chet was another one of them. Chet Sar, we had on the show where I'm like, man, it turns out it goes a long way just not being a dick. Just being a good person is super underrated. More people should try it. Like, because Michael Abels is clearly just a good human being. He spent like an hour doing Q&As afterwards. But
that's cool.
Yeah, one thing I took away though big time from him was there was one part where like out of all of his scores, I love all of them, but Us is my favorite. Just I got 5 on it. Mix, it's so good. And
that would actually be super interesting to hear about like the juxtaposition of that.
Yeah, well, he broke down like because how he composed that, knowing that there was also like there's like a final showdown between Lupita Nyong'o and her doppelganger at the end of Us. It's like the best scene in the whole movie. I really like that movie, but that scene is so good. And knowing that there was going to be like sound effects in there as well, and where he knew where to leave negative space, and it was just really, really interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, and like hearing these violins and violas just fucking shred. It's amazing because and also one of the most interesting things out of all of it is. It came up in the Q&A, but he's like, a lot of people just assume that I'm a string musician, he's like, he doesn't play songs with strings. And yet he composed all of these scores that are so heavily involved with strings, but it goes to show that there's so much more to the art form than people think. Like there's
talent is talent. And
exactly.
It gets through no matter how.
And, yeah, like you can, there's a lot of filmmakers who can write a certain way, but they could direct something, but they would never be able to write it that way, I'm tired, so I feel like I'm brain dead today. But yeah, that was awesome. So if you ever have the opportunity to go see like a live composer, especially Michael Abels, go out and do it. Do yourself a favor. What else have you been watching, Buzi?
I was gonna wait before that. I just have to ask. No, you don't got any horror movies at VIF to talk about, or did you not make it out to a lot?
No, I didn't see any horror movies. The closest I saw to a horror movie would be The Whale, which is the Darren Aronofsky movie.
Right. With Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
So what made you want to go more, Brendan Fraser or Darren Aronofsky? Because those are both big boner times for you.
What made me what?
What made you want to go see it more?
The whole thing, just both of them. Like honestly, I love both of those creators, but it's exactly what you'd expect. If you know Darren Aronofsky, you shouldn't be surprised. It's very, very pretentious, but very fucking good. Yeah, I loved it, but it is one that as I've had more time since I've watched it, it has like kind of fallen a bit for me, just because I don't know, I'm trying to just not give myself a wedgie for overthinking stuff, but it really is like it's a difficult movie to discuss because there's controversy around it, whatever. I just as a film, it's a good movie. It's a very good movie. It's a good movie, and Brendan Fraser is just so fucking good in it. Like I cried like a baby 3 times, man.
Is he having his reconnaissance? Is this what's happening?
I sure hope so. I will say the one thing that I will say about The Whale is no one on earth could have played that role except for him. Like the movie
built for him.
I think it would have been laughable if it wasn't him, because it is about a 600-pound man, and it's just the level of empathy you can feel in just looking at that guy's eyes. And I know like a lot of people are rightfully like I understand that some people would feel uncomfortable with like how they made a movie about a 600-pound man, and he obviously isn't, but that's also storytelling. That's how stories are told. Is people act, and they aren't those people. And I'm not meaning that to be condescending, but I could see why it could seem exploitative or hurtful. But I just didn't. I do not feel like there was malice behind that movie. I'm choosing to live in a world where I do not feel that there was malicious intent there.
Well, as a former 600-pound man, I'll also agree that they're doing right by me and my homies.
Yeah, there is one scene. I keep on saying. I'll say one thing about it, but no, there's straight up. It is Requiem for a Dream, but of eating. Like that's what the movie is.
Oh my god,
it really is, dude. And there's one scene where it's like, fuck, have we all been there, buddy? Like he's just going ham on the fucking kitchen. it's. I'm laughing about it now, but while I was watching it, I wasn't laughing. I was like, it's actually magic. It's wild that I'm not laughing at this because it's so ridiculous. It was just more so sad. But when you think about it, when you're removed, you're like, God damn, homie really did pour out half a fucking bottle of mayonnaise on a piece of pizza.
Sometimes you gotta. I mean, I don't know if I can co-sign on mayo, but like ranch, yeah.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, no, that's all. I saw that in Deliver. What's it called? Decision to Leave, Park Chan-wook's new movie, but that's not horror at all. So also good movie. A little over long. Don't recommend watching it when you just worked a 70-hour work week.
Right, it might. When your hours are stretched like that, that's when it really, like, minutes in movies really count for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that should be taken into account, because, like, if you're working a ridiculous amount of hours, and you only got, like, 2 hours to watch a movie, it's gotta be, like, a solid 2.
Yeah, agreed. Honestly, though, Decision to Leave, I think it was, like, 2 hours and 10 minutes, it just felt longer, but that's also 100% me being so more exhausted than I've ever been going to see a subtitled movie right after I finished that insane week. Yeah, what have you watched?
Okay, so I got some new stuff, I got some old stuff, I got stuff. First off, the first one I want to get out of the way is one that you'll have to remind me if I even talked about this one, because I couldn't remember if I mentioned it last. If it sounds familiar, you can just cut me off. I watched a French-Belgian TV show called Black Spot.
No, you didn't talk about this.
Okay, excellent, because I love this.
Is it a sequel to See Spot Run?
It's the one where Spot gets to the black lung and they have to put him down.
Oh my god.
No, so it's about a police chief who visits a small French town that's kind of isolated from like the rest of the world that has a murder rate that's 6 times higher than anywhere else, and they want to find out why. It's a murder mystery show. It's a little bit of an urban legend kind of show, dealing with like Belgian culture and urban legends in their lore, kind of how like something like the Hallow, that's dealing with the country's lore like that, and the same sort of mythical like foresty creatures. It's a very cool show. There's 2 seasons to it, and they just got through season 1, but I was really impressed.
Nice. It's called The Black Lung?
The Black Spot.
Oh, The Black Spot. I got it.
Yeah,
sidetracked by all the other spin-off. Oh man, nice. The Black Spot. Cool.
I can't say there's any actors that I know in here because it's mostly foreign, but it's on Netflix if you want to check it out.
Sick. Yeah, no, I've never heard of it, so I am gonna put that on the old watch list.
I don't know how I actually found it, but like to be honest, I don't usually finish TV shows, but this one I've been crushing it.
Nice. Yeah, I've noticed the whole never seen past season 1 of Stranger Things.
Am I missing out that much?
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, I feel like I feel like you might be too angry right now, because I feel like you do hate when things are widely loved.
Yes.
I mean that with love. Yeah,
no, I'm 100% a contrarian.
But Stranger Things is not trash. But I could see it. It's something that I think you're going to discover like 10 years from now and be like, God damn, this show is great.
I nearly missed out on Breaking Bad, so this could totally be it right here.
It's not Breaking Bad, but yes, I know what you mean.
Stranging Bad.
Yeah. I want like most of the stuff that I saved for this episode, because like I just recorded yesterday and I knocked off like older ones that I watched. But I watched lots of new stuff that I haven't talked about on here yet. I know I've shared my thoughts on this. I'll be quick about it because I've talked about it on other podcasts at this point. It's been over a month since it's been out. People are probably tired of it. Barbarian is fucking awesome. I loved Barbarian. Go see it if you still can.
That's the one with Justin Long, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, so I saw it with Jason Hamill, and the best way to go into this movie is not knowing a single thing about it. That is how I went in. Like,
okay, perfect, because I still have no idea.
Good, but even Jason didn't know that Justin Long was in it. So like, when that, and I think judging by the reaction of the theater, I think a lot of people didn't know that he was in it. But
that was half the movie right there. It's like, oh shit, that's Justin Long.
Even like, because it was after like already a bunch of fucked up shit had happened, and then when Justin Long pops up, Jason's like, wait, what? it's a wild movie.
Okay, when was the last time you remember seeing Justin Long? Like, I'm thinking like Dodgeball is the last time I vividly remember him doing shit.
No, it was like Tusk. Like he was.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
And I know previous host of the show, Kyle Zervinsky, that he's not a fan of Justin Long. I really like Justin Long. I always have. And
I have a real soft spot for him. Yeah,
he's a horror icon, man. At this point, he's a horror icon. And he's so likable. At least I find. But that's what's cool is he plays a relentless piece of shit in Barbarian. But like I said, I'm not going to say anything else about it. I will be curious what you think, Buzi, because I don't know how much you're going to love it just from knowing your tastes. But I think that it's just as good of a chance that you'll love it as if you won't. I couldn't see you hating it.
I've heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, I just know you weren't like, it's not the same as X, but it has similarities in some ways to X, which I was a big fan of. But honestly, I even like Barbarian more.
Really? I know you liked X.
I liked X a lot, and I'm actually about to start talking. Okay, yeah, capping that off. Barbarian was fucking awesome. If you haven't seen the trailer, keep it that way. Just go and watch this wild ass movie. It's definitely one of my favorite horror movies of the year. But yeah, talking about X, I also saw Pearl, the prequel for X that had just come out.
That's a big turnaround on that, like a fast turnaround.
From what I understand, he like shot it back to back with X, like not knowing if it was going to get greenlit, which is very gangster. I think that's awesome.
he really girl bossed on that one.
He did, yeah. But I think it's because I don't know the whole story, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But from what I have heard, him and Mia Goth really hit it off on X, and like they came up with a bunch of backstory for who Pearl is and what made this character who she was, and then it kind of just turned into a movie on its own. And I think it's fucking awesome as well. Like Pearl was so good. It's very, very different from X. Which is also something so admirable. Like something I find so fascinating is that it's now going to be a trilogy. Like they just announced Maxine is the third one in the franchise, and it's crazy to me because I don't know how he's able to build such a big world out of this movie that was initially just a slasher movie about people making a porno. It's amazing, and yeah, X is just, it's all style. It's very very art house. I think that I'm so pleased to see that it did extremely well. Like both Pearl and Barbarian opened at #1 in the box office, which is nuts. Those are both highly unique original stories, and that's so refreshing knowing that we're getting new, especially in the genre, we're getting new horror movies that are, not like their original properties and not remakes or reboots or whatever. And, that's coming from a guy who just praised Hellraiser, but it's cool. Like there's been such a wide variety of stuff this year, and it's made it super fun to be as into this stuff as we are. It's been a really rewarding year. And Mia Goth's great in Pearl. It's twisted. It's fucked up. I think I like X a little bit more, but that's just, I'm more of a slasher guy. In terms, like I appreciate.
Has it gone campy yet?
What?
Has it gone campy yet? Like, is Pearl more campy than X?
I think X is insanely campy. Like X is so over the top campy, and this is, I feel like it's pulling from like classic Hollywood tropes and everything, and just the overall aesthetic of it. Like the colors are blown out in the contrast, kind of like Wizard of Oz or something like that. Like it looks like an old school film, which is one of the best parts about it, the style of it. But it's definitely, I don't know if I would say it's as campy as X, but it's good. It's really good. I really liked Pearl. But Buzi, what else have you watched?
Well, I haven't watched Pearl yet. I would like to, because I want to know where this is going, especially if this is going to be a little trilogy franchise of its own here. Like, I don't want to be left behind.
Yeah, I cannot imagine you're going to be a fan of Pearl. No, but I don't know. It's fucking impossible to tell with you. I think that's part of the fun with you, is you never know what's going to hit.
I like just being a wild card, even to myself. So the next one I checked out is actually something I'm surprised you haven't seen yet, which you might have.
See, I got a couple more new ones on here.
I checked out 2022's Significant Other.
Oh, no, I was talking with a friend that was watching it today, though.
Okay, yeah, because I saw that you hadn't put it on your letterbox yet, so I wasn't sure if you had seen it.
I'm going to be real with you, homie. I hadn't heard of this movie until today.
Really?
Yeah. You're a big cinema guy.
It has a cool cast.
Yeah, is it Michael Monroe? Yeah.
Yes, and Jake Lacey, if you remember him from The Office. He was like one of the interns. It's
wild. He's Blob.
Yes.
Yeah. Blob, yeah.
He's grown quite a bit since then.
Yeah, he's in White Lotus as well, TV series I love. But okay, yeah, tell me about this.
Okay, so this is your classic couple goes on a camping trip, and yeah, and they're having some romance, and they're having some romance issues, and then it's really hard to talk about where this film goes because it gives, like, if you talk about what happens, it's like the whole movie cruxes on one thing.
Don't talk about it then. I don't, if it's a spoiler.
No, well, so basically there's an invading force that's happening in this forest while these two are out there, and they don't realize it. So that's all I want to give away. It's a little bit like The Thing. It's a little bit like Honeymoon. I think
these are all my favorite movies.
Yeah,
like Backcountry.
Yes, like it shares some similarities just in terms of storytelling. I think you'd enjoy it. Overall, it takes a very interesting twist that for this kind of horror movie I wasn't expecting it to, in an almost like silly way, but I kind of liked it. Overall, it's probably, and the reason that I liked with the weirder parts is also probably the reason I don't think this is an incredible movie, because I like darker films altogether, and this one kind of gets a little silly, but in like a fun way. I don't know. Yeah. I think you definitely should check it out. There's some really cool cinematography. They like to fuck with your brain a little bit with it, and yeah, the story is pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah, no, the posters look great. I cannot believe I didn't hear about it until today. I was texting with a friend, and he's like, "Have you seen this yet?" I'm like, I'd never even heard of this. And
the only reason I found out about it is from a Twitter thread because somebody posted post your 2022 movie that nobody's talking about. And somebody posted this. I was like, well, yeah,
someone talked. They said no one's talking about a movie that came out literally 2 days ago.
No, seriously, they're like, I don't see anybody talking about this movie just came out. And then they're like I saw the poster and I thought, okay, this looks like
that's such a busy poster.
It looks like the cover of a Demon Hunter album.
Yeah. So I know which one you're talking about now. It's like all the trees and the horns.
Yeah, I'm not even into Demon Hunter and I know this.
Yeah. No, the art and everything for this looks awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking this one out. Hopefully, I'll be able to do that soon. Cool. Have you seen anything else?
Yeah, I have more stuff if you're interested. The next one is also a foreign film from the Netherlands. So I watched 2020. Unless I talked about this one.
Nope, keep going.
I watched 2022's MOLOCH.
Oh fuck! I want to see this one. It's on my list.
This also, I kind of referenced The Hallow before when talking about a film. This film, or when I was talking about a TV show, but this film also reminds me a lot of The Hallow. Basically, an intruder comes into this family's home, and they live like right by this huge bog, and it's just kind of about like people keep coming after them. It's a very cool film.
Nice,
yeah,
it's a shape-shifting.
Yep. I think everything about this film was built in for me to like anyway. So of course you're gonna hear me just say nothing but good things. But
that's great to hear.
It's very dark. It's very spooky. Your classic I don't want to say classic, but it's a home invader film. It's a body swap film. There's so many cool elements for this. Cults, yeah. I think this is right up your alley. The imagery is great. They did like using that set piece of like the bog. You can even just tell from like the posters and stuff. They have this thick like white and subtle green that is used through all of this. And it's a fun. I definitely recommend you check this out.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna because I might have time for one tonight because like I'm trying to go to sleep early, but I really want to see this one. It's at the top of my list. I was deciding between watching MOLOCH or the one that I'm going to talk about now, which is also on Shudder. But that's great to hear. I am moving MOLOCH to the top of my list because I've heard really good things from now you and my other buddy. All right, the one I'm going to talk about next is Speak No Evil on Shudder.
Why? So this is the one with Kane, right?
No. Oh god, I forgot about that. Jesus. No, I think it's a Dutch film. But the synopsis, it's basically this couple is like on vacation. They meet another couple while they're on vacation, and they decide they get invited back to their house, spend some time with them, and party with them, and just get to know new people. They're looking for some excitement. They're on vacation.
This isn't like a wife swap thing. It's very consensual friendship.
This is very, very without like I worry about this coming across as spoiler, but in the vein of something along the lines of like Funny Games or The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Okay.
So it's a very slow burn, but I found it to be never boring. I was really invested in the characters, but I think it's because I have a soft spot for those movies that make you question your manlyhood while you're watching, being like, what would you do in this situation? And because everyone thinks that they're going to be a hero, and everyone thinks that you have what it takes to take care of your family, to protect people. But when you have severe anxiety issues, you start overthinking all that kind of stuff, and you think about like, well, there's not a lot you could do in this situation. And then, it's the whole introvert, like how you are as a man, if you're introverted or if you're extroverted. And this is very good, like character study of putting 4 very different people in a room together and kind of seeing how it pans out. That's only half of the movie, though. It turns into one of the most vicious movies I've seen this year in terms of like not necessarily violent. It's just disturbing. This is something very much along the lines of Funny Games, Killing of a Sacred Deer. It's a human tale of terror. It's extremely depressing, like just bleak and
so
like
it's right up your alley.
Yeah, it's very Eden-like. Movies that like that. Or there's this Australian movie, Killing Grounds, that reminds me of a little bit of The Strangers, just in tone of like
Killing Grounds the one with the sniper?
No, that was Downrange. How did I remember that? I hated that. I thought that movie sucked. But yeah, no, like it's that type of it's the type of horror though where. When you're watching it, there's a good chance that you're not even going to know it's a horror movie for the first half hour, 45 minutes, because it's just kind of it's like a drama where tension kind of heats up a little bit.
Teeters that line.
But there's a moment in it where it's like, oh yeah, this is the feel good movie of the year. Eh? Like, it's what Mitch, not talking about myself in the third person, would call a real knee slapper. This one. Okay. Yeah. So Speak No Evil. I recommend it, but with a heavy caveat that to know what you're getting into. These movies are not for everyone. And if you're just not wanting a soul crushing movie, don't watch it. It's one of those. It's just depressing. It's very depressing.
Yeah, you gotta watch it on the right day if you're going to.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's also an acquired taste. And I totally respect people who don't like being miserable. That's fine. It's understandable. I wish I wasn't the way I am, but I don't like it either. But yeah, so that's
we're all in this together.
Yeah, man. You watch anything else?
That's all I have, honestly.
Okay. Well, then I'll wrap it up. I have technically no. I think you've watched something that I'm about to talk about. I don't know if you finished it out, but I've been saving a discussion on DAHMER.
Okay, yeah, I haven't finished it, but I will talk about DAHMER. Yes, I would love to. I think I've got to episode 3.
Oh boy, yeah. So okay, yeah. Let's talk about it. This is another one, kind of like The Whale, where I'm like, I don't know how to talk about it because like I don't want to make it sound like I'm that big of a fan of. I don't know. It's
right, Mr. DAHMER. I love all your work. Big fan. Love all your work.
Well, and it's just the whole trauma porn thing, like it's what Ryan Murphy's always done. This is the guy who did like they created American Horror Story, and there was a really really depressing movie or TV series Hollywood, which is all about how horrible people were in Hollywood back in the day. Which is like, yeah, we know, just like we know Jeffrey Dahmer is evil. We know he did some horrible fucking things. Yeah. What are your thoughts? Since you've only seen 3 episodes, let's go with you first.
It's okay. So I always have to broach things.
I'm gonna broach this one as well.
Okay. So I guess the thing I want to get is not that like I'm bored of it, but there definitely is like so much of this big serial killer content coming out like this, especially in the same veins. I don't know how many Dahmer and Bundy things we keep getting over and over, and it just feels like like you're kind of burnt out on it in a way. Like, how many times can I hear about
the same story?
The same, yeah, and it's kind of hard to judge a show off of that built-in merit, unfortunately, because you look at this, we've seen some incredible performances and takes on people acting as Dahmer, and I just kind of add the Bundy thing in there because this kind of does feel a little bit like the extremely wicked.
Yeah.
I can't remember the full name of that one. The Zac Efron one.
The Fall Out Boy one, yeah.
Yeah, where it's these super stylistic, and I know they're not trying to sensationalize these killers, but they always do.
But at the same time, they still are. By making it, you are doing it.
Yeah, and you're making them so sleek and sexy. Like, we all know, like, Evan Peters did a fantastic job as.
Yeah, but here's where I disagree with some people. It's like, I've heard people be like, Evan Peters is so hot. What are you doing making him because it just makes Dahmer seem like sexy and attractive. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with anyone who finds him attractive in this? Like, he's creepy as hell in it. I don't think, like, he's a good looking guy.
I still think that he pulls off, like, a little bit of this, like, sexy mystique.
Yeah, he's a cute, like, he's an attractive man. Yeah, he's an attractive man. Like Evan Peters as a human, as a performer,
Right.
he's an attractive person. But I think he did do a really good job as Jeffrey Dahmer in this. But that's another thing that it's kind of like, this could be brought up about the whale, but I don't feel like that relates to it at all. It's more so like Christian Bale, like people who go through these extreme things, body transformations and stuff like that, and then everyone's like, oh, they're the best actor to ever live because they did something so crazy to their bodies. And people are saying like, Evan Peters is really good in this, but like, let's calm down here. Like, let's calm down and say that he's like one of the best actors to ever live.
Yeah,
because of his portrayal of Jeffrey Dahmer.
I think that's a little over the edge, and I just want to say, for the record, Ross Lynch's version was much better.
Are you talking about
My Friend Dahmer?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, I prefer it, yeah, because it feels less.
It feels more low key, and I know that they're dealing with different areas in Dahmer's life, but it just feels like they did a better job of really showing this reserved weirdo.
Well, it showed a side of the story that people aren't as familiar with. Like, that's
Right.
things if you listen to true crime podcasts once, you know every single bit about this story. So it's like, do I really need to watch him fucking drill people's heads? And
Yeah, this felt very much like the American Psycho version, where
Yeah,
there's like the cool. There's like, even now we have like that meme of like him being like, you can watch this.
it's a
and then
great meme. It's a great meme.
It's
And
a
I knew the moment it happened too. I was like, oh god, I cannot. You know what? We've got to that point in a society where we're like, you can just tell like, oh, that's gonna be a meme.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. But and also, shout out Exorcist 3 though. Great film.
Right.
Great film.
That makes it so much creepier that he's just like, yeah, we're watching this for the ninth time.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I guess that it's more or less that I'm having a hard time judging it solely on its merit because of all these other extenuating factors. Yeah, and like it didn't get the same treatment because of racism probably. But like the Richard Ramirez one, they didn't have like anybody like I was gonna say Wilmer Valderrama, but that's a terrible one. They didn't have any like sexy person playing Richard Ramirez and trying to sex that up. Like, I don't know. It's very odd to me, and it just seems like an unnecessary. All the right parts are there. It just overall feels unnecessary.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think this is the best thing Ryan Murphy's ever done. Like, I think the series was really, really good. But much like you, I'm tired of it, and it was a struggle for me to get through it because I was like, why am I still? Because it's like it's all good, like it's well made and it's well told. But I'm like, but why do I feel the need to have to continue watching it? And I'm happy that I did because as like like there's even the first episode is super horror, like it's like intense and like I was pretty blown away by not like how they made it not super graphic, but more so like alluded to what he does and what's going to happen.
Of it,
yeah, and like it's very intense. Like there's the part where he's like laying on the guy and he's like listening to his heartbeat and how he's like he's gonna eat it and shit like that. It's like that's just a really well crafted horror scene. But then it's just like I don't know how much I need to watch this guy just be a horrible person for 10 fucking hours. But then we got to episode 6, which is the one that's based around one of his victims that was deaf. And that was like that one episode was better than the entire show combined. Like it's like that. It was really. I really wish they would have done more of that throughout the series. Okay, I feel like it highlighted more of the humans that were taken from this, and this is very exploitative. Like this to me is extremely exploitative. And even by doing that, even by doing such a good job at portraying that whole episode where it's just basically centered around deaf people, it was just really well directed, really well put together. And I know Jennifer Lynch, like David Lynch's daughter, directed like half the series, so that's why it looks so good. And yeah, it's very competently made. But I'm with you where I'm like I don't need any more Dahmer or fucking Bundy. But unfortunately, like even like how depressing is that, man? Like I was looking on Netflix today. The number one most watched thing on Netflix right now is Dahmer. Guess what the second thing is? Conversations with a Killer, Dahmer. It's like
Dahmer's so hot right now.
Exactly, we are giving so much attention to these, but that's just human nature, though. Like people are so.
But there are different ways you could do this that are interesting, and like
My Friend Dahmer.
Like My Friend Dahmer, or like the one I was going to give a big shout out to, which we need more of desperately, David Fincher, Mindhunter.
Yes,
Mindhunter puts you into this universe with all these people, but they play them as like they're fucking sharks in the water. They're not just like mythical. They're not like that. Like you guys mentioned before,
they're not the main characters.
Yeah,
they're not the main characters.
And it's kind of cool that you can build a universe that way and maybe not rely so much on the exploitative nature of just like, hey, here's where they put the drill in his fucking.
I know, and they really do try and make you root for Dahmer. Like and like that's why I'm like it's just fucking gross. Like it's just gross.
Is there a Dahmer musical?
Oh, I'm sure there is. I thought you were gonna bring up the your boy Jeremy Renner. Jeremy Renner's in a Dahmer movie.
He is, which is not terrible.
No, it's not. But it's the same thing as this. Like it's That's I remember like when I was watching the first episode, I was like, oh, this is just that. Honestly, that Jeremy Renner one was more brutal. Like that, but that came out at a time where it was like a straight to DVD.
Yeah, it was like 2004.
Yeah, they were doing that, and they did the Ed Gein. They did an Ed Gein one with Kane Hodder. And then they did the one that really fucked me up was Gacy. And yeah, I love that you shared the meme today. But they include fucking John Wayne Gacy and Dahmer like he's Thanos.
Well, it's
so
like for
true.
no reason. Yeah, it's so dramatic. Like
Oh,
these
God.
serial killers are like in a network or something.
Yeah, I think it's like the second last. Well, there is a connection because like their crimes were very similar, but that was one of those things where it wasn't handled as well as I think it probably they think that they did. Because really it's like, oh, look at all the similarities, and like the day that Gacy was executed was the day that Dahmer got baptized, and like they had very similar they had similar crimes, but they also like had different ideals in some way. I don't even know what I'm saying, but it was pretty. I was like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, God, this is just so trashy. Like how there's like, I think it's episode 9 or 10 even, where you see this guy and he's in a pickup truck, and I'm like, what are they doing here? What's going on? And then you see this kind of like bigger guy who's like, oh my God, are they doing Gacy? And it's like, are they setting up the next series? Like, I thought they were doing that, like the cinematic,
like the last episode, it'll be the after credits.
Yeah,
trailer.
exactly. Yeah. But then he goes in the house and he's like walking into the kitchen, and you see there's a clown painting on the wall. I'm like, oh my God. I'm pretty sure there's even a stinger in it too, where it's like, it's like, man, this is so fucked up. Like I know that, a lot of people would probably have different takes on this, but a lot of the families are obviously rightfully upset about this because it's just bringing back all this horrible memories, and like people are focusing on the wrong part of the story. Yeah, that's basically what I was gonna say. It's just fucking. I feel so bad for the families. Like,
I feel like that's us growing up, is that we actually like think about that, because I thought about that too. Is like, man, if that was like my auntie or uncle or like my parents or something, and people are just like, oh man, you cast this character so well to get fucking butchered, and it's like,
Yeah,
this shit
exactly,
actually happened.
Yeah, and like that was my brother. That was my fucking uncle. It's so fucked up. And just knowing what he did to them, like, it's just one of the worst ones. Like Dahmer's just simply one of the worst ones. The one, it's a spoiler. Not really. Actually, no, it's not a fucking spoiler because it's history. It's history. But what I will say is I did appreciate that. I think that the most brutal violence that is in the series isn't what Dahmer inflicts on other people. I think it's when he gets taken out. And I was like, that was a good choice. That was like one of the good choices you made here, because like they really do just allude to what he was doing to people. Like, it's not like in the Jeremy Renner one. I remember it's like there's a scene where he's drilling in a guy's head, and it's like, oh my God, it's never gonna end. Like, it's just like it's
impressive how much of that movie you remember.
Oh, that's what makes it good though. That's how you know it's good. Yeah. And I think it's got like really bad reviews. But I think anything like this was going to be a victim of that. Like, who's gonna say that it's an amazing movie? But no, it was very visceral. It did linger on me.
Do you think any of these studios have ever given like some of this money to the victims of this, or is this just like a very
I think they probably say
cash
that
cow?
they say that they're going to. That's one other positive thing that they do in the series is it's like, Dahmer's dad wrote a book. Yep. They touch on that, like how he became a best-selling author but didn't make a dime off of it, which is, he's a victim as well. But it's still like it's fucked up to think that someone's gonna make a bunch of money. But that's exactly what Netflix is doing.
Dude, you gotta think that they're looking at serial killer names just on a big pegboard, and they're like, this is all like public domain.
They're building. Yeah, they got the money signs in their eyes.
They're gonna build the metaverse of fucking serial killers.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a. I know you're not a Marvel fan, but Kevin Feige, whenever he's at Comic-Con, it's like they drop the curtain and there's all the titles for the next 10 years of Marvel movies that are coming out. Oh, the Toy Box Killer! Yeah, Toy Box Killer!
People would be so into that too.
That's all I know. Hell yeah, murderinos! Oh, shade. Yeah, people love crime right now. It's hot.
Crime is, I don't know. I guess people just love dealing with the mortality of other people who aren't them.
Yeah,
I know I do.
Yeah, but like, I know we're now talking in circles, but you made such a good point, is that Manhunter is a prime, or Mindhunter is a prime example of, touching on this subject matter without glorifying it in any way or exploiting it. Like, it's inherently exploited because they're building a story off of it. But I don't know. I never got the feeling that they were like, Manson, he actually was a pretty. He wasn't all that bad.
Pretty fucking chill. Yeah, like anytime they showed him.
Yeah.
Anytime they showed any of the killers, they never like glorified any of them. And yeah.
No. And yeah, like they're and anytime they did, like, who's the one that they focus on? Yes, because they do that a little bit in the first season, but then he has a switch again, and you're like, all right, yeah, that's reminder, bad dude. This guy's not good.
Yeah, it's like petting a cat, because eventually it's gonna attack you.
Exactly, it's gonna scratch.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. All right, well, yeah, that's everything I got to touch on, because other stuff is just stuff I've seen a million times. I saw Jaws twice in the theater.
How many times have you seen it in theater?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Do you still feel like it's redeemable every single time? Like it's a 10 out of 10 home run?
I will say the last time I saw it, which was 8 days after I saw it in IMAX, like I watched the 3D transfer, that was the best I've ever seen it.
Yeah?
Yeah, like it's unbelievable how much I fucking love that movie and how good it is. And I think the one thing that helped too is like, I'm not a 3D guy at all. That's all I'll say. I'm not. That's why. But I was like, I feel like I kind of need to. Like, I feel obligated to go see it out of just curiosity. But I was actually shocked at how awesome the 3D was, because it wasn't like a coming at ya 3D. It was more so like you could focus on like the composition of Spielberg's shots and his blocking, and it adds so much depth to it. And also I think it benefited because I've seen that movie so many times. Like I could recite it, and just seeing it even slightly enhanced in any way, like just by having the darker blue. It was just like automatic. It's just a great movie. So no matter what, it was going to be awesome. But mainly it was the beginning and the end that the 3D was very beneficial. Like, or not saying it didn't need it, but it wasn't cheesy in the way that you'd expect. But yeah, it's a fucking masterpiece. I went with my buddy Zach, who it's been so long since he had seen it, he didn't remember a second of it, and he was like, "That was
wow,
like,
that would be the greatest."
Exactly, and being able to sit next to him and like watch him literally jolt out of his seat. And he's a filmmaker as well. He's like a very a very knowledgeable guy about all this stuff. He watches a lot of things. And watching him jump out of his seat at that jump scare when the head comes, like when Hopper's in the water and the fucking head pops out.
That is still one of the scariest moments I remember. It's one of my pants.
Yeah, it's one of the best jump scares ever. And yeah, God, it's just so good. But if you want to hear me talk more about Jaws, I did do an episode of a show called 4 Minutes to Fit Your Screen. That's going to be out. By the time this comes out, it'll be like just coming out, I think. But yeah, Zach Tennant, host of that show, had me on to talk about Jaws.
Did you blow a fucking load?
Yes, I did.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Question for you: do you have a 4K TV?
I don't have 4K yet. It's still, I'm still, it's the 65-inch fucking normie TV.
Well, I've been looking. I know it would only be for like a 40-inch, but like, man, those 4Ks are nearly affordable.
Oh, they're so
like,
cheap now.
Yeah, and like, I just remember like watching the 4K transfer of like Alien and just being like, this is a whole new film.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
It's
no,
like, I need to get 4K everything.
Yeah, I am getting 4K. I'm gonna get 4K
Is this
soon.
how DVD dudes in like early 2000s felt?
100%. When it was, yeah, that all the openings when you put in the DVD and it's like shows you the grainy ass VHS and then it's like Paramount. Whoosh, and it's
Fuck
just
that shit.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I'm excited to see Ends this next weekend. Gonna hopefully see it beside the Myers house because there's a theater like right
That's
beside.
so fucking cool.
Yeah, we'll do it someday. We'll go
we
road
have
trip to LA. Yeah.
We'll get covered in smog. Actually, you're gonna have like terrible lungs when you come back. You're like, holy fuck. Let me just say, I'm excited to see Sewer Rat Myers.
Sewer Rat Myers? Like you think that's gonna be the next one or Ends?
No, haven't you seen the trailer for Ends?
I'm gonna be real. I saw the first one. I haven't seen the other one yet.
Okay, that's not a spoiler. It's in the trailer. That's where he's hiding in the sewer.
That's funny.
So he's literally like a sewer rat. So his mask
We all
is
float
not
down
only burnt, but now it's covered in poop.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Dookie.
Mikey's covered in dookie. Yeah, that's fuck yeah. All right, well, yeah, let's take a quick break and then we'll be back talking about Spookies from 1986.
87.
86. Bye.
Happy birthday, Billy.
All right, and we have reached our main feature presentation where we're going to be discussing. It's Buzi's pick. It's Buzi's pick. Spookies from 1986.
Who would have guessed that was my pick?
Yeah. No. Oh man, we got stories to tell here. But yeah, it's a 1986 cult horror film about an evil sorcerer who sacrifices a group of strangers who end up in his house in order to keep his wife alive? Question mark. This whole movie is a question mark. I'm not gonna lie. I want to start this off by saying that Buzi like threw out some suggestions. This being one of, it was at the very top. So I was like, fuck it, let's just do it. I've never seen it.
It was on my watch list.
Yeah, and I looked it up, and like this is, there's still stuff to be explored that I haven't seen before, but I always worry that I might have tapped all of the good facets out there, and that I might have seen everything that's worth seeing at this point because of, the depression and watching movies nonstop for my entire life. It's there's not a lot of stuff.
Deadly combo.
Exactly. It's just there's not a lot, and that's not me. It's the furthest thing from bragging. It's just I've seen a lot, and sometimes you find these movies like Tammy and the T-Rex is one of them where it's like you think you need to see it, but you don't really need to.
It's not a novelty, honestly.
Exactly. But I saw some people had some things to say about Spookies. I saw some of the pictures on it, and I was like, yeah, this has got to be promising. There's got to be something here. And I started it, and I think I got like 15 minutes in the first time. I ended up going back and starting from the beginning, and then because I just wasn't in the mood. I was just not in the place to be watching a movie when I first started it. But I did text Buzi. I was like, "Is it too late to pick something else?" Like I feel like this might end up being like kind of dry and not like a lot to talk about. And then when I went back to rewatch it, I texted you like 45 minutes into the movie. I was like, "I apologize. There was so much to talk about here." And then I put my phone down and I finished it, and oh boy, what a picture!
I'm so glad that you gave it the time because I felt that energy that like maybe we should pick something else. It's like, well, yeah, that's fair, but Spookies is its own thing.
This is truly its own thing. This is one of a kind. This is lightning in a bottle in like the worst way. It's kind
of a comedy of errors.
Oh, absolutely. This is a movie, man, that I wholeheartedly recommend this at the top of the list for movies that's like, if you want to just put a movie on with it, there's always that type of movie where you can just have on in the background and like have your friends over. You guys can talk while you're watching if you need to. This
would play so well at a Halloween party, just playing in the background.
Because it's just all half-baked visuals, but the visuals are fucking good. Like there's a lot of it. Like this is just a practical effects extravaganza. But I don't think that's what it was supposed to be. I ended up kind of becoming obsessed with it, and I watched an hour and 40-minute documentary about it because this is one of those things where I just want to fucking know how it went so wrong.
You want to pick people's brains about this?
Well, you got to wonder. Like, this was one of those movies where I was thinking about it. I'm like, thinking about how hard it is to get stuff made these days, and how so very few people get that opportunity to be able, like, I still haven't seen it yet, but Parker Finn is the director. He made 2 short films, and then he made Smile, that new movie that's out. And it was another one that just crushed at the box office. I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
That looked, I don't know. We haven't really talked about this at all. It looks very much like that mainstream.
The Truth or Dare film.
Yeah,
that's the thing though. Is like I agree with, like, I was talking about this with coworkers. It's like some of it kind of looks like it could be like an It Follows type art house movie, but then it also looks like it could end up being like a truth or dare. But I've heard very mixed things. I want to see it. I watch every horror movie, but
it feels like they kind of just took that idea of Momo. Do you remember Momo? That picture or whatever? It's like they just took that and let's make a movie about something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think good for Parker Finn. Like he's a young director, and he made 2 short films and then got this huge movie that made it #1 at the box office. It's making a killing. Like that's a win for horror, and that's a big win for aspiring filmmakers. But but then you look at a movie like Spookies, it's like fuck. It just seems like everything. If you could get anything made in the 80s, like how did this? This is truly one of those. How did this happen? So I wanted to find out more, and then learning about it, it's so much messier than you even probably imagined. Like
I think it's more or less like what makes it so interesting is what you're talking about, the fact that it did eventually get made and released, because this was made over quite a few years. But I'm sure there's thousands upon thousands of these exact same type of things that just never got picked up again. It's just more of a miracle that this film got picked up by somebody else who was willing to shoot more and try and make it into something.
Think that's the thing is, from an outside perspective, I totally understand why you'd think that that's how it happened, but that's not even how this happened. Like this is just like this.
From what I got was it was a bunch of former porn directors, and they kept getting booted off, so someone else would come in and make their version of it, and they stapled it all together.
Close.
And that's why it makes no sense.
That's the other best part about this movie is that there are so many theories out there about how it ended up being such a fuck show, and it's funny because like if you go on IMDb, there are reviews. Like it's not in the trivia, it's the reviews. There are crew members being like, there is false information on this trivia on this page, and it's them being like, this isn't what happened, I was there. Because like it's one of those things where it's like, how do we get to a point where 45 minutes into a movie, like ghoulies, like mud monsters, rise from the grave and start farting everywhere? Yes, like the farting. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like,
so what's the best way to explain Spookies? Because I would say it's a haunted house film that's just skits that kind of come together in certain ways.
Yeah,
they're each like their own little thing when they go into certain wings of a house.
Whole story that like even in like Night of the Demons is one where it's like all this ragtag group of friends ends up at the wrong place and shit goes wrong, and it's like
it's even like Evil Dead.
It's Evil Dead. It's Evil Dead. Like the story beat. But the thing is, this movie more than any of them, like I think it's Friday the 13th Part 3 is really guilty of this as well. But like a group of people that just would never be friends. But that's the
3D.
Yeah, well, but in this movie in particular, like, it's like, how do all these people end up at the same place at this like secluded?
Well, one of them is obviously a chauffeur. Just happened to get stuck with them. One guy is hot off of a runway. He did some sort of drag show because he's clearly just wearing garbage bags.
Yeah, no, that's
the guy, the puppeteer.
Yeah, the puppeteer. And these are all the least of your worries with Spookies. Like that becomes so irrelevant when the carnage starts happening because it's just fucking ridiculous. Like it's just, let's see how many practical effects creatures we can get on the screen at the same time. Why? I don't know. It'll be cool. It'll be spooky. It'll be spooky. And theory, yeah, of course it is. Like some of them look really, really bad, but campy, and like it's still fun. But
which one do you think looks the worst?
Oh, the cat person. The guy from...
Oh, yeah. I was going to say the xenomorph hallway monster.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty rough, too.
That was pretty rough.
But that's the charm of the movie. Make no mistake, I'm a fan of Spookies now. Like, I want to say that to anyone.
I'm so happy that you turned around on this.
That I just finished it. Like, the first little bit, I was like, I don't know. For some reason, it's not a knock against Phantasm at all, but I was getting, like, Phantasm vibes where I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those ones that, like, doesn't make sense until you have to, like, really think about it. But then it's like, oh, no, it doesn't make sense, but you don't stand a chance at trying to decipher it. Like, it's just a ridiculous...
people's visions, quote unquote, of a film.
It's a compilation video, man. Like, it's really just a compilation of... Like, I was looking around even on YouTube of being like, because, lots of people edit together, like, all the kill scenes. It's like, editing all together, all the craziest shit in Spookies still breaks down to, like, 25 minutes. Because there's just, like, nonstop shit in this movie.
They have people die who you don't actually, like, get to be introduced to. There are secret people, like, I think one of the funniest ones, I didn't notice because I watched this twice. I didn't notice till the second time. One of the guys gets swallowed up into the ground because a tombstone comes up that says his name, but they never say his name. It could have just put up anybody's name, he'd be equally confused and just get sucked underneath.
Yeah, oh man, and how about the highlight? It's gotta be, well, besides how did you feel once we got to farting zombies?
That one threw me off because, not that they were playing it straight before, but it seemed like that was the final frontier.
That was still, like, it was goofy to begin with, but when that started happening, I found out how it happened. So that's what I'll share on this podcast.
Please.
Man, like, it is executive producer interference, the movie. This is having one person on your crew who holds the money and is completely unhinged. And, like, there's no stopping this fucking madman. Like, apparently there's this guy, I gotta look up his name, because he's one of the producers. This documentary, man, is so savage. It's all, the whole crew.
Are they just ripping him?
Oh my God, they are dragging him through the mud so hard. But it's like, when you hear what he did, it's like, fair. Like, fair. This guy, he fucked up so many people's hard work. Like, and he just, like, he would have been the most frustrating person to work with. Like, you can only imagine. Like, apparently this guy he would come on set. His name's Michael Lee. He would just show up on set, and he's the guy who'd be like, hey, pull my finger, pull my finger. Like, one guy.
He's like sexual harassment, the guy.
Exactly. And one of the 3 directors, because there's 2 directors that left the movie, and then he brought on the ex-porn director to finish it off. But like they had like done pickup shots for like years. Like it was just like trying to decipher this movie, trying to put it together so they could get it out and sell it. But one of the directors, he straight up says he was into all things anal. And I was like, man, this fucking poor bastard. But then you hear the story.
His life's just out there now.
Yeah, and on his IMDb, it only says that he's only done this Michael Lee guy. But apparently he was also like, he came onto set and would brag about all the money he's made off of movies that like he doesn't care about. And he's like, I just buy them for nothing and I sell them for all this and blah, blah, blah. And I change them. And like, he's just like an evil tyrant of a film producer. But yeah, apparently it was he demanded the farting zombies thing, and they were like, "What? Like, what are you talking about? Like, no!" Like, and they all tried fighting for it, and he just refused to let it go. And he kept on. There was one story that this guy shares. I gotta pull this up here. Yeah. So apparently, the producer Michael, he ran onto the set one time and was like, he was telling the cameraman, like the DOP, what types of lenses he was gonna be using that day. That's not a fucking job of an executive producer. Because the director and the DOP are the ones who are supposed to be figuring that out, and his producers. And then he's getting them to like. There's one scene where he felt like it was going on for too long, so he demanded that they cut the center of the film and then splice it together to speed it up.
God.
So he cut the center of the frame out. And it's just, so when you're watching the movie, there are times where you're like, this doesn't, like, what? Like, it's just the way it's edited and cut together. He also doesn't know a thing about film editing, and he was beside the editor demanding all of these things. Like, so it's just this one guy fucking everyone. And it's, oh God, it's such a wild cautionary tale. But
I do remember hearing something about one of the people doing practical effects was like 17 or something because the other guy got fired.
Yeah, he got fired, and there were like all the people that they had to have in suits and everything like that, or be dressed up as ghoulies or zombies or anything like that. Like some of them just wouldn't show up to work.
You mean Spookies?
Spookies, yeah. Some of them just wouldn't show up to work. So like the second AD was hopping into the makeup chair. This is very much that production. But yeah,
that makes it so endearing.
Oh, it does. It does.
A little film that could.
Watching these people be so pissed about it still all these years later, it's magical. Like apparently this is all on the Best on DVD, but you can find it on YouTube. It's just it's like the making of Spookies or something. It's an hour and 40 minutes, and it's all on YouTube for free. I watched the whole thing. It's wild. But apparently Michael, like the producer, he came up to one of the directors one day when they were about to shoot, and he's like, I have good news. And then the director was like, you have 1 day to live? Like he hated him that much. But he's like, no, I got us a gorilla suit. And he's like, why do we need a gorilla suit? He's like, that's just the mentality that was put into this movie, is if I can find something, we're going to put it in.
Right.
And
that makes like
so
a
much
hoarder
sense.
mentality.
It makes so much sense when you see this fucking movie, because it's just it's a compilation of everything. Oh God, it's such a mess, but I really enjoyed watching it.
It is wild that it came out in 86, but, well, obviously it feels dated because it was on the shelf for like 4 years or something. But it feels so before its time in terms of being just like budgetary and how it's shot. And I do have to say that the reason I wanted to do this to begin with was for the almighty Spider-Woman scene.
Which is the best scene in the movie.
The best. It is terrifying. It is so cool. And that spidery thing when it fully transforms, that face.
It sucks him dry.
Sucks him dry. Which is actually,
I love that
hilarious.
effect.
It's just a balloon.
Yeah, the effect is amazing. It's just this guy's body just deflating. It's creepy. That's where Under the Skin got it from.
Yeah, Under the Skin is a direct ripoff of Ghoulies. Or I mean, Spookies. Sorry. We should have done a marathon with like Ghoulies, Spookies, other things that end in E's. Is it Willies?
Willies, yeah. That's the thing though, is like this, to me, obviously, it's not as good as these things because Stuart Gordon made really good movies. Like I'm talking about like Dolls and, Reanimator. All that kind of
so fun.
Exactly. But like if you're into that kind of stuff, Spookies is essential viewing. Spookies is like, you got to do it once just so you can see how fucking bonkers this movie can be. And it's never boring, like because it just...
Yeah, your attempt at like piecing together what the story is in your brain, because your brain's trying the whole time. And it's great trying to figure out what the fuck's going on.
And my favorite part was admitting defeat at it was when the farting zombies happened. I was like, first of all, I paused it because I was like, what the fuck? And I looked up, I'm like, am I hearing something? Is that supposed to be something else? And it just sounds like farts. And then I found like the clip on YouTube and like all the people talking about it. I'm like, oh my God, that's the moment where I stopped trying to decipher what was happening. And I just let the movie play. And I was rewarded with some bonkers special effects.
I think, that's kind of the main flag I could put in the ground for this. This is kind of a cool look at practical effects and how they've changed and what works and what doesn't. I still think a lot of that spider stuff works. Maybe not some of the earlier like the face stuff, but when you see like the limbs detach, I think like all
it's
that.
Good effect.
So it's great and it still looks great. But yeah, this is just I was hoping to do this episode more as just like let's watch something bizarre and fun. That's like, who else is talking about Spookies right now?
People need to be. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly. We have a Spookisance.
Jesus, yeah, it's because it's on Shudder. I think it's also on Tubi, but I know a lot of the Shudder stuff is on Tubi. But this is a perfect fucking Tubi movie.
Shout out Tubi.
Yes,
the
absolutely.
best streaming service ever. That is the greatest gift besides our child that you've ever given me. Our illegitimate child.
Yes, yeah. We don't talk about him. That's why he's still locked in the cellar. Yeah, no, Tubi's the best place where you can watch. You can do a double feature of Spookies and Chedzar, I Like to Paint Monsters.
Oh, also, this is a side note on a personal. I noticed that you've been watching a lot of older films. Have you been watching those? Where have you been finding those? Tubi?
I own a ton of them. Like I have a bunch of like the Vincent Price collections. I bought some Hammer horror stuff from Scream Factory when they released them. I just hadn't watched them yet. Like I was watching like Horror of Dracula. But yeah, and also Canopy. Canopy, holy fuck, Buzi. That's gonna be one of your new favorite things too. It's just, you know what it is? It just comes with a library card. Go get a library card, and then you'll have access to their server Canopy. Holy shit, man! There's everything you could possibly want to find on there. Like it's a library, but of movies.
Having fun isn't hard when you have
a library card. Yes, I've never heard that. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, that was from Arthur. Do you remember watching Arthur?
Boy, I used to wake up earlier than I needed to before school so I could fit an episode of Arthur in. I used to love Arthur.
That's an Arthurism.
Damn.
Yeah,
I loved Arthur and Franklin. That stupid little fucking turtle. You didn't like the turtle? I thought you liked turtles.
Franklin was a bitch. You know who else is the worst? Was fucking Rupert. Rupert fucking sucked.
Rupert sucked.
If Rupert got in one of those planes and just fucking ran into a building, I would not care.
Rupert was the broke boy Babar.
Oh my God, that is the perfect. Yeah, you'd be like, oh shit, Babar's on.
But Babar was the poor man's Care Bears too. Fuck, we're really breaking it down today.
You are. I don't know, but I can't co-sign the Care Bear one, but the other part, yeah, like you watch Babar and be hyped, and then it's like, oh fuck, there's that white bear. God.
Yeah, I just remember the villains in Care Bears were very similar to the villains in Babar. And I remember I was like, why do I care about this
Very low
rich?
stakes villain.
Yeah, remember what a weird concept Babar was. It's like a rich elephant. Like it's like a richy rich, but an elephant. They were ritzy. They were royalty.
Yeah, but there was something like colonialism about them. No, literally, it was like the English family. Yeah, they were like the English family in like a third world country, basically.
It was the original, the queen. It was Babar.
Hey, fuck the queen. She's dead.
Oh my god.
Oh, I gotta show you. I got a shirt, a rest in peace to the queen shirt. Can I show you?
Yes, please. Are you still buying offensive shirts?
Yeah, hold on. I know this makes for good podcasting. Wait. So the bottom has the year on it.
Where did you get that?
Targeted ads, baby.
Oh my god.
Yeah, R.I.P. the queen.
Have you worn that out yet?
Yeah.
Can you send me a picture of that?
Yeah, I can.
Oh my god. Fuck me, that's wild. Oh, okay, well, this has been a fun episode. Super fun talking again, man. It's been too long.
I enjoyed it. I think it was great. It has been too long. Also, I enjoyed our mini review of Hellraiser. We kind of threw that on last minute of like, let's talk about Hellraiser. And I'm glad I didn't sit on it any longer to watch it. I know it just came out, but I was planning on putting it
I'm happy to see you liked it. I was curious. I figured you would after I was watching. So I was like, I know you're not super into the BDSM shit, like, but it's, and that's what's funny. Like, I was recommending it last night to Morgan because she's been like looking for movies to watch. And I was just like, it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, but for those people with weird fucking leather kinks. And she's like, okay, so me?
People with daddy issues?
Yeah. She's like, you're recommending it to me and you're saying it's for those fucking weirdos who like leather. It's like, we all secretly like a little leather. All right, well, thank you all for listening to this episode of The Terror Table. And next time you hear us, it'll be our official Halloween episode. So yeah, we're gonna have a couple weeks in between this recording though, so we're gonna have time to see lots of stuff. Plan out something fun for y'all to listen to on All Hallows Eve. Samhain. Samhain. All right. Any last thoughts, Buzi?
R.I.P. to the queen once again.
All right, I miss you. Okay, thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you next time on The Terror Table.